I want to take a stand. I need to take a stand. I need to say something as a black man. This is wrong. This is terrible. And, because ESPN wouldn't allow me, because I wanted to keep my job, I couldn't. And I regret it.
Tell us about a moment where you wish you would have said something and you didn't. There's nothing better than this. Say what you mean. 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 Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Aida Rodriguez, and welcome to another episode of Say What You Mean, where people stop by to share their stories, those moments where they wish they would have said something. They should have done something. We actually had a moment this morning, which will be my Say What You Mean moment. We were outside of our shooting site, and an unhoused man walked up to the business sign, looked at it, sized it up, and decided to walk away with it. And we ain't doing nothing. We just sat there and watched it. And I feel like the Karen in me should have been like, hey, man, bring the sign back. But I just didn't want to get beat up in broad daylight today. So I didn't say anything. So my apologies. We still felt unsafe because I think them germs, they deadly. They deadly. And I can talk about unhoused people because I used to be one of them. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on another episode. And today we are joined by someone who I've known for quite a bit of time. And I've watched this evolution. He is highly intelligent, so he's been able to pivot and do many things. We know him from the world of sports. We know him from the world of journalism. And now he is a stand-up comedian. Please welcome to the show, Mike Hill.
Hey, how you doing? Aida, good to see you. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate that.
Good to see you.
I'm pissed that you didn't say anything to the unhoused guy, though. I mean, that's like,
I know.
See something, say something. You say what you mean.
He looked like he was a wild card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they found him with the sign, he was shadow boxing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, say less.
I stand no chance against a shadow boxer.
You ain't gonna win that one.
No.
You ain't gonna win that one.
So you also have a podcast.
I do. It's called the Done There Been That podcast.
Okay.
I'm doing it with Ephraim Salam. So I'm just talking about the things that we've done, been places and the experiences and how we've drawn on those experiences to try and help other people out with their lives.
Oh, if only they would listen.
If they would only listen, if sometimes I would have listened to my own damn self about some of the things I've learned in life. But you know what? I'm evolving, like you said. So I appreciate that you're seeing that I'm evolving.
Of course. Yeah. Open mic.
Open mic, yeah. Open mic, my book came out a couple of years ago, my memoir that I unleashed and just exposed. That's why I'm naked on the cover. Just exposing myself and just talking about some of the traumas and the pains and the issues I had to deal with growing up in life. A lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of things that I didn't learn, the things that I did learn from certain people that wasn't right, that didn't help me along the way. So I just put those out there to try and help other people out so they don't make the same mistakes I did.
That sounds awesome. Amazing. Naked on the cover. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. And that was the whole thing. You know, I think I was in a little shape back then. 4 years ago, I got ready for the cover, whatever, oiled up. I had the good olive oil on. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to show the vulnerability. I wanted to tell the naked truth, so to speak. And if you look at the cover, it has a lot of the images have meaning to it because I'm coming out. It's a black and white cover. And I'm coming out of the darkness into the light a little bit. Nice. So talking about the darkness of my past and walking into the light, and you can see my head is bowed a little bit because I'm not, proud of a lot of things I've done in my past, whatever, but I'm still trying to hold my head up high. And I got a microphone cord wrapped around me because obviously this is what I do. I'm a broadcaster, and the microphone cord was like my chains that were bounding me. You know what I mean? So I called it open mic because some of the worst things that happen is like you say certain things over an open mic and it gets you in a lot of trouble. Well, this is where I told the unfiltered, unnaked, and just, unadulterated truth about everything.
I love it. How important is it for men to be able to be vulnerable?
It's very super important. And this is what I've learned because we're not vulnerable enough. And we need to be allowed to be vulnerable. That's the key. And I tell women this all the time. It's like, you guys are the key, especially for black men, to be vulnerable because, if you look at life, you look at the world itself, everything that a man does, like 95% of what we do is because we want to please you guys. We want to please women.
Where are these men at?
We do. We really do. I mean, like we're dumb. We're still dumb. We're stupid. We do a lot of dumb things, or whatever. But for the most part, what we're trying to do is trying to get your attention in some kind of way. If you say, hey, I like your haircut, I like the kind of car you drive, oh, he's got this nice house, he's got this money or whatever, this is the reason we do it. We don't do it. We be around here naked, funky, and smelly, and with long haircuts all the time. It was for other men, right? But for women, we want to please them. So if you guys endorse whatever we're doing, we're going to do it. So if you say, hey, you know what? I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to be able to show your emotions. You're not weak. You're not a man. You're not a sissy. If you do things like that, you're strong. You're putting in the work. Then we will feel more comfortable. I think a lot of men will feel more comfortable to come out. But if you I think Shaq said it a couple of months ago. He said he would never cry in front of a woman because a woman would use that against him in the future. And if that happens, then of course we're going to suppress that. But eventually that madness, that anger, whatever that bitterness is, that trauma is going to come out, and it's going to come out as toxic masculinity, and you don't want that either.
I think Shaq should hang out with some different women.
Yeah, that's true.
That's too much onus to put on the whole gender. Like, there are women who are okay with being, with men being vulnerable. I think there's a lack of communication. Like, I was just watching this video that Niall Evans posted about a man saying that men don't want women who have BBLs. Women do that for other women.
Yep.
And I think that's just, it goes across the lines. Like, you see men thinking, oh, I have to be like this for the women, but it depends on you get what you pay for. Like, if you are, engaging in superficiality and materialism, then that's what you're going to attract, and that's what's going to happen. But there are women out there who can't be okay with a man being vulnerable. They're just not on Instagram, doing crunches.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true. And even the BBLs, whatnot, in the fake, whatever. There are certain men that like that type of stuff like that. But there are a lot of men.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, there are a lot of men that like that. But then there are men like myself who's like, okay, well, I just want you to be natural. I want to see who you are. Now, if that's what pleases you, if you like that, I had a wife who wore wigs, and I told her, hey, you're beautiful without the wigs. But if this is what you want to do to enhance the beauty that you already have, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings that happiness to you, then so be it. But getting back to the whole point about the vulnerability, is like all it takes is that one time. I remember before I was writing the book, as I was in a stage, I was in a very vulnerable stage. I felt like I was going to die if I didn't write that book. I felt there was so much pressure. There was so many things that was happening in my life where I was just, excuse my language, effing up so much. And I was messing up my life that, God told me I had to get this out. So I started writing the book, and I was at an emotional stage in my life and very vulnerable. And I remember there was a person I was dealing with at the time, an actress, and I liked her a lot. And I wanted to kind of be in a relationship with her, but she wasn't ready to be in a relationship with me. And I remember one time just being in the car, and I just started crying. And she just said, yeah, just let it out, just let it out, just let it out. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm thinking, this is a moment. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from one of my friends, Steve Wilson. He's like, man, what's wrong with you, man? You up, you crying?
Oh, no.
She went back and told them that he's in there, he's out in the car, up crying and all that type of stuff. Like, so guess what happens? You hear that, you start to clam up because you don't know who you can trust. So yes, it's good to hear it, but you have to be with somebody who actually means that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you got to find your right person. Now, obviously, that person wasn't right for me. That person wasn't the person for me. Maybe she's going through her own stuff. I don't know.
Right.
But that's why a lot of men are hesitant, I should say, to be vulnerable when it comes to, their emotions.
Yeah, that's awful. And of all people, Steve Wilson?
Yeah, no
stab me twice, why don't you?
Damn, Steve. No, Steve. And Steve's actually helped me out a lot, man, because Steve has, gone through his own stuff. So,
of course.
But I love Steve, man.
So do I. I'm just poking at him.
Yeah.
So you've said a lot, but can you think of a moment where you wish you would have said something and you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, there have been plenty of times when I was at ESPN, obviously as a journalist, there are things that you see that you want to speak up on, but you work for a company.
That's right.
And I'm like, hey, you want to keep your job or you want to say this, you want to take a stance, you know what I mean? Like being a revolutionary don't pay the rent, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. So I'm like, okay, well, there have been times I've seen instances that happen. I remember when the Trayvon Martin situation came out and I was at ESPN and I wanted to really go in. I mean, this is when Twitter was really starting to take hold. And I remember we had like these social media policies. And I'm like, man, I felt a conundrum. I felt like I want to take a stand. I need to take a stand. I need to say something as a black man. This is wrong. This is terrible. And, because ESPN wouldn't allow me, because I wanted to keep my job, I couldn't. And I regret it. I regret it. I really felt like I should have taken that L. I should have taken it and like whatever happens, happens. But I would have felt better about it. And now I'm at a point where I can't shut my fucking mouth. Excuse my language. I can't shut my mouth. So if it's there, I'm gonna say it. I mean, whether I'm at Fox, wherever I am, you have to accept me for where I am, because I will never shut my mouth when it comes to racial injustice in this country, ever.
I respect that. Why don't you just look into the camera and say what you would have said? I think that it's still happening today. It's still very relevant.
Yeah, I'm always, no matter whatever platform I have, whether I'm at Fox, whether I'm at ESPN, whatever journalism platform I have, if I'm running for politics as a politician, whatever I'm doing, I will always use my power. I will use my voice. I will use my platform to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. That is also in this country when it comes down to this presidential election, what's going on with Donald Trump right now. I will never, ever allow anything to harm people that I love in this country, and the people that really can't speak up for themselves. So I know as a person of power, so to speak, as a public figure, as a so-called celebrity or whatever, I know I have a responsibility. And that responsibility isn't just to tell people, what kind of clothes to wear, what kind of jewelry, what kind of cars. That's part of the responsibility. That's part of the influence. But the bigger, deeper influence that I have is to tell the truth and to help other people to get the equality that we deserve in this country and around the world.
I think that was so powerful. Can we all agree that we all felt that? Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it, because I think that a lot of people felt that way. And what happens is that you never hear this part. They never come back and say, I should have said something. They were just okay with being silenced. I mean, I know I've lost plenty of jobs because of me being vocal. But I feel like I want to be able to look in the mirror, right? And be able to like what I see. And I feel like celebrity, fame, and all of that is not the proper trade-off for knowing that many of us are suffering.
Right.
And I think it's important to be able to use your voice. So thank you for saying that, because I think that was still brave. And I appreciate it. I think it's important. Is there any other time where you felt maybe in other areas of your life where you wish you would have said something and you didn't?
I feel there have been times in my life where I couldn't be myself. And that goes back to ESPN. I don't want to seem like I'm on ESPN, because ESPN put me in a position to actually sit down with you right now, because without ESPN, I would have never had that national platform to kind of elevate me. So I'm thankful for the time I had at ESPN, but I believe that there were times when I was at ESPN that my voice was stifled, and my personality was stifled. And I've told this story before, and I always say I don't have regrets. I have life lessons. I wish I would have worded it a little bit differently, because I believe at the time when I came out and said it, I had left ESPN, gone to Fox, and I was telling a story about this time where I was in with a talent coach. And the talent coach was saying, Mike, I like you. And this old guy, white guy named Bud Morgan, he was like in his 80s, about to retire. He said, I don't care if you tell anybody I said this, because I'm about to retire and they can't do anything to me anyway. And he says, I like you. I like what you're doing. He said, but the reason why you're not being promoted and moving up and doing other shows that you want to do on this network is because the higher ups, the executives, think you're too ghetto.
Wow.
Straight up. Say, you think you're too ghetto, meaning too black. And he added this addendum. He said, and they already have one of those.
Oh.
Meaning Stuart Scott at the time.
Stuart.
Yeah,
Rest
the
in
late great Stuart Scott, who I love and adore. And I was like, wow. And anybody who knows me, they know that's my personality. I'm not putting on an act. That's just who I am. That's the reason I felt like I got the ESPNs, because of my personality. So when he tells me this, you got to understand I had gone through something in Dallas that was similar to a guy where I actually got fired because of my style. And so now in the back of your head, man, I got a wife and I got 2 kids I got to take care of once again. So I got to make this decision. And for the longest time, every time I would say something, I had to think about it.
Yeah, it messes with your mind.
I lost myself. And that's one of the biggest regrets in my life, because once again, where's that line? I want to keep my job. I want to move up. I want to get better. I want to get opportunities, whatever. But maybe I did it the right way. Maybe I did, move up, because I started moving up a little bit more. And once you get that platform, once you get the power, then you can start to change things on your own and you can enhance it that way, and you can make it. But if you're not in the game, you can't play the game.
That's
and you can't change the game. So, I look back at that and as one of the things that, I felt like I was stifled and I couldn't do what I wanted to do. But once again, no regrets, and everything that I go through in my life, it happens for a reason.
Yeah, you hear those terms. They'll say too ghetto, too urban,
too
colorful, too spirited, and all they mean is
too
that
black.
Too black, and also you possess this personality that I really wish I had.
You're pretty
Because
much
you're operating from your authenticity. I went to Florida State, so Stuart Scott was not ghetto. Stuart Scott was crafty and witty. He was all these things, but he was not. I'm from the inner city of Miami in Florida, the bottom. Stuart Scott is not somebody who we would think would be walking through Tutu Ave down there where Trick Daddy and them were.
Right, exactly.
That Stuart Scott was ghetto. That was, and you certainly don't fit the bill either. That don't mean you can't fight, because I know you got hands.
But don't let the light skin fool you now. I'm telling you, do it. Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting that they would say that, and now everybody's trying to be ghetto.
But that, and it was that. So that, like Vanessa just said, that part is because when I was there, there's also a guy named Scott Van Pelt. No disrespect to Scott Van Pelt, love him. He's a great sportscaster, whatever, the biggest star at ESPN when it comes to Sports Center right now. But he was allowed to be more black than I was. He would say words on the air that I'm like, man, if I said that, they'd be calling me into the office saying you can't say. I remember I said ain't one time. And they said, you saying ain't is not conducive to a Sports Center anchor. That's and I'm like, Scott Van Pelt, the white dude, say it all the time. You know what I mean? And he kind of, I'm not saying that it's cultural appropriation or whatever, because he grew up in a certain neighborhood or whatever. That's his personality, and if you know him off the air, that's exactly who he is. So he's not putting an act on or whatever. But I'm like, man, this is the way I grew up. This is my culture. This is my environment. This is my style. I'm not going to get on there and code switch and sound like somebody I'm not, because
plus your subjects and verbs agree. You know what it is.
I know,
so it's not like saying that's just.
I know, but it's a language, and it's sports. If I'm doing NBC nightly news, of course, I understand you got to be a little, but it's sports. I'm supposed to relate to people and talk to them as if I'm talking to my buddy in the pool hall.
Yeah, it's interesting. A big shout out to the younger generation, this Gen Z and young millennial crowd who have claimed their AAVE language and will not be shamed out of speaking what is a natural language that came out of all of the injustices that happened to Black people in this country. So ain't nobody gonna tell us we can't say ain't on Say What You Mean.
Damn thing.
So one of the things that we do on the show, we have a segment called Should Have Kept That.
Okay.
And I'm going to share this with you because I want to hear your thoughts on this. But basically, it's a time when someone wishes they would not have said what they said.
Like I do.
Same.
No, I'm sorry. 3 times. I mean.
Oh no! I thought you were saying. Oh my God! No, I'm not trying to listen, people. I like everybody. I only said I do once.
I loved all my wives. When I said I do, I meant it at the time. I meant it at the time.
I feel like I'm on an episode of Big Love. He was like, I love all my wives.
Love all of them. Still.
Oh my
Wish I can get some of that money back, but that's okay. It's another story.
Oh my goodness.
A for effort, even if it stands for alimony in the end. That's all I'm saying.
Are you going to get married again?
Ooh. I see.
Say what you mean.
Say what you mean. Now, Vanessa's shaking her head over there. I will say I'm not sure. I'm open to it.
I don't know why she's shaking y'all head. Y'all was born like 37 minutes apart, and y'all both hopeless romantics. Yep. And yes, he's going to get married again, and you will love again every time.
And she's going to be at the wedding.
Yeah,
be right there.
She was when I remember was one time when she was like, "I'm done with this," and I was like, "No, you not." Okay, so here's the story. This fella says, I was dating someone 15 years younger than me, and my mom and sisters hated it. My sister even threatened to fight her.
Ooh.
She felt like she didn't like her, so we stayed away. I lied and told her that it was because of COVID.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So now there's regret.
Like, so 15 years, so how old is he? That's the thing. Like, is it an R. Kelly situation or is it something else? I'm like, because it's like, he's in his 40s, she's 25, so she's legal age. Oh man, yeah. As long as she legal, man. As long as she don't act her age, I'm fine. Cause it was crazy. I'm 50. I just turned 54 on Monday, and
Look at you. All right.
yeah. Thank you. You know, so, happiness and hydration, like I said. But I'm attracting.
Give me some water.
You look good. You look damn good. We'll talk afterwards. I'm looking for wife number 4. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? We can make this a dual thing. You know what I'm saying? You in the media, I'm in the media. I'm saying, no, let's take some water. Hold on a second.
Vanessa.
I'm saying what I mean. Am I saying what I mean? Sip some water.
No, so listen.
Okay, all right. Let me get back on track. I'm sorry.
No, you said 15 years younger.
15. So now I'm saying I'm attracting, for some reason, I'm attracting women in their late 20s, early 30s.
All of us, women too. Like the younger men, they're tired of their own group because some of them want to be in meaningful relationships, or for whatever reason they want security. It's the same thing. Like I was telling them when I went to the Dominican Republic, this 27-year-old guy, she was there. Vanessa, the other Vanessa was there. He wouldn't leave me alone. He kept telling me he was. I was by the beach and he was like, "I'm your Neptune."
Oh damn! Was that Tay Diggs and Stella?
I have a joke about it. I was like, for a minute there, I was like, I can afford to put a roof on this house. But then I was like, nah, I can't. I just heard this conversation. But that is something that really happens, especially when you look successful, you know, younger people who got their lives together. But then you start having conversations with them and you're like,
yep.
This is, you know.
You realize, you realize some of the women, like, okay, they just say, oh, that's a free meal. That's for real.
Yeah.
So they trying to get a foodie call.
But you also have a profile. You look good for your age.
Thank you.
And I hate to say that. You just look good. I'm going to stop saying that because that really has a lot to do with white supremacy. But you know, these younger women, they want to be on the arm of somebody that, you know, there are a lot of younger women who don't want to talk to somebody whose pants are hanging off their butts or whatever it is that they don't like. I'm not condemning anything, but it just happens.
I feel like I'm a young mature. I feel like I'm a young. I feel like I feel better at 54 than I did when I was 34 because I'm taking better care of myself. I'm watching what I put in my body. I'm watching more so what I put in my soul and my spirit and my mind and what I ingest. I know because what I ingest is what I'm gonna put out. So yeah, I get that and I love that. But when I talk to them, they have to be on a certain level too. So I've talked to women in their 40s and their 50s that didn't know. Straight story. I was with a woman. I'm not gonna say who it was, but we was stopped somewhere, and somebody was like, "What do you think about Roe v. Wade?" When it was overturning Roe v. Wade, and she answered the question, and then she said, "What's Roe v. Wade?" Oh, and I like, ooh, I wanted to like beep. I wanted to back up, but I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not on that level, and I'm not saying you got to know everything that Wolf Bliss is talking about on CNN or whatever, but you got to know what's going on in the world. I got to mentally connect with you and emotionally connect with you more so than the physical. As a matter of fact, I'm actually practicing something right now that I'm not even leading with my physical anymore. It's more, stop laughing.
Celibacy?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing that. And it's like a lot of my friends.
A celibate man. The world is a safer place.
That's true. So it's helped me see so much more clear now. I feel much more light. I feel like I can do the things I need to be focusing on instead of focusing on, that.
Don't you let that heathen drive you.
Yeah, I know.
She took me to the promised land and left me there by myself.
But so like if I'm with somebody, I gotta connect with them mentally and emotionally before I connect with them physically. Yeah.
I celebrate that, and I think we need to do more of that, especially with men, and not to coddle men because I know that there's this argument out there, but men also deserve empathy and acceptance, and we can't just pounce on all of them. All of them are not bad. Some of them are allies, and they are the ones that stand on the front lines for us. And some of them are trash, and that's reality, but so are women. And I just think that not being able to have nuanced conversations is the reason why we're in such an ugly place right now.
And we have to have those conversations.
100%.
That's so important to have those conversations. Yep.
So now we're going to do this lightning round. And we use this to get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
Smash or pass theme parks?
Pass. I'm too old for that shit.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I'm still on the ride. Like 5 hours later, I can't do it.
Would you rather cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Age of the, I stuttered. The age when you first said, I love you.
When I first met them, this is what screwed me up. I got to tell the story, though. I know it's a light.
Go ahead, tell it.
So this is really important, talking about trauma that affects you when you're younger. So I wrote in my book, I was 15 years old. First time I told a woman that I loved her and really meant it. I was this woman, she was 17 years old, girl, 17 years old. My girlfriend was in the car, it was Friday night, and Luther Vandross was playing, it was so romantic. This is why I remember.
What song?
I don't even remember. I know it's Luther playing. I just remember it was a great song. Okay. And we was kissing, we was making out and everything like that. And this girl was gorgeous,
Superstar.
Man. It could have been super. Don't you remember? I told you I love you. And so I just know it was the right time and it felt right. It felt like being in a movie. I'm thinking back and I'm still getting emotional thinking about it. And I told this girl with everything in my heart deep down, I said, I love you. And she looked at me like I farted in her mouth.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she said, let's go. Just like that. And walked out the car. So that's what I'm saying when you talk about that trauma.
Yeah.
And she walked out the car, and then it was a Friday night, and I didn't hear from her all weekend. And Monday morning when I get back, I remember this girl named Karen West came to my locker. She said, you and so-and-so still together? And I was like, yeah, I think, she's fine. And she gave me a look like that. And then like an hour later, I remember walking down the hall. I remember everybody looking at me as I'm walking down the hall. And I remember somebody coming around the corner, and it was my girlfriend holding hands with another dude. I didn't even know we had broken up. Crushed me. First time I really told somebody I loved them. Crushed me. And that moment, after I went to therapy 30 years later, therapy, I didn't realize how meaningful that was. That showed me and told me that's why I couldn't trust anybody. And that's one of the reasons why. No excuses, still take accountability for all my actions and the things I've done. But that was the reason why I look back, was the reason why I couldn't trust a woman. I always felt like I needed to have something else just in case. You
know what's interesting though? Do you ever go look for these people on social media? Because I'm petty.
So the rest of that story is when I started, getting a little popularity, and ESPN started blowing up. You know what I mean? She started reaching out on social media. I saw her, and she was with her little husband. Her husband. She was with her husband. He's good. He's a good dude. She had her kids and everything. She still looked pretty, right? But she wasn't like drop dead gorgeous like she used to be, but she's still pretty, right? And so I saw her and I just said, man, I got to say something to her. She's like, oh, I'm so proud of you, so happy for your success and all that stuff. And I was like, I got to tell this girl, because, this is actually before I even started therapy. And I said, I don't know if you remember this or not, blah, 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 but this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And she sent me back something that changed me. She said, I'm so sorry. She said, you have to understand, at that time, when you told me that, she remembered, she said, when you told me that, I didn't feel like I could be loved because of what she was going through at home with her mom.
Look at y'all, came full circle.
I mean, but it was like, it made me realize that sometimes your trauma that is inflicted on you by others is because they have their own traumas. It's a result of their own. And you got to understand what they're going through. So don't take it as if, like they say, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
She didn't really mean to hurt me, but that's what she was going through. So she didn't want to hear anybody say that somebody loved them right at that time. So I didn't find out until 30-some years later, whatever, and I had already messed up all these relationships or whatever. But like I said, it wasn't just because of her, but that was in my head. And until I was able to settle that and put that to bed and get my life together and evolved, and that's when I realized that that's when I actually met Cynthia. And I could actually fall in love for the first time and let myself go.
Oh, you were on your journey, though.
I was on my journey.
Well, I'm glad that happened, because a lot of us don't get that. We don't get that, I'm sorry. And so then we just got to post beautiful pictures and tag them and let them know that we know that they didn't age well. And they still in the city. Anyway, this being petty. Fight or flight, 4 tarantula spiders.
Tarantulas or spiders? Everything. I'm not.
Flight.
Yeah, I ain't fuck with no spiders, bro. Don't fuck with no spiders.
Me either. I'm afraid of the spiders. And then this is my favorite thing to ask everybody on the show. If you could say one thing to your favorite teacher, what would it be?
Man. Miss Knight, thank you. She can hear me because she's dead. Yeah, Miss Knight, thank you, because you are the first teacher that ever believed in me. Like, yeah, you're the first one. I mean, I was always like, I was smart, but I was like a clown. And she just, remember she used to always call me J. Michael because my name is James Michael. And she used to say, like, you got something special. Just believe in yourself. I believe in you. And I didn't even realize that was gonna make me feel that way. But I said, thank you, man. So thank you, because without her believing me when I was in the 12th grade, I wouldn't be this person that I am right now. And knowing that I can be better, and knowing that I could do things and I could achieve things coming from the city where I saw no success. But she instilled that belief in me and that pride in me to be the best I could possibly be. So never been asked that question, so I ain't never knew. I want to thank her. Really do.
Thank you, Miss Knight. Yeah. Thank you. That's my my favorite question to ask everybody. Because my teacher was Miss Rowe. And she's also graduated. And they never know the impact that they have. And sometimes we never really get to tell them. But I think that's beautiful. Yeah. It's just amazing. And it feels good to watch you evolve and be a full-grown adult male that can express your feelings and be vulnerable, because that's you at your greatest. Yeah. And you got to protect that at all costs.
Always.
Everybody isn't worthy of that. I want to say thank you to you for watching Say What You Mean. This has been a great episode. We're going to put this out as a workshop for men that need some help with their EQs. Where can they find you?
They can find me online on Instagram, Twitter. It's Mike Hill, ITS Mike Hill. And make sure you check out the Done There, Been There podcast as well on iTunes.
And buy Open Mic.
Yep. Open MIKE, spelled like my name. Yep.
And buy it for your friends. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll catch you next time on Say What You Mean. Catch up with us on socials. We are at SWYM Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and X. If you are watching this, click the subscribe button. We want to hear from you in the comments section. Tell us your stories about those moments where you wish you would have said something or you should have kept that. If you are listening, download the episode, become a member, do whatever you need to do, and tell a friend, because we want to continue to grow this village. We are so excited to be a part of yours, and we are excited for you to be a part of ours. My name is Aida Rodriguez. This is Say What You Mean. We are out.